you. All right, so welcome to MNG3701 revision, and we're going to look into concepts today. We're going to explain concepts and how to put them on the paper when we are asked certain questions. Then tomorrow, we're going to look at 2020 May-June exam paper, and we're going to relate with the case study. Now applying the concepts we have discussed today into the case study, how to explain them, things like that. So basically, just for understanding purposes, examples we are going to relate to are going to be related to Take a Lot. We did assignments on Take a Lot, assignment 1 and 2, right? So we expect we'll be referring some of the concepts to Take a Lot's experience so that we understand more deeply. Let me just close my windows to minimize the noise. So feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Feel free to discuss, to contribute. This is all for you. It's for you to understand better what we're going to talk about. So don't hesitate at all. This is interactive. So sometimes people understand better when they have a chance to ask questions, to contribute and participate, etc. So this is the platform for it. So anyone with something to ask before we proceed? Any questions, any contributions, etc.?
Yeah, I just need to ask tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've got INF 3708 class tomorrow.
What time?
So, so will you be able to?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Hello. Someone was saying something about tomorrow's INF test.
Yes, I'm saying tomorrow I've got INF 3708 class.
Okay.
I was wondering if you can please share the question and answers with me tomorrow because I won't be able to join class tomorrow.
Okay. So for tomorrow, what
Thank
I'm
you.
going to do is I will send you guys the question paper for 2020 in the group, but without the answers. Then after the class, that's when I will send you all emails with the videos and the answers, the booklets, etc. via email.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
just like this lesson, as we are recording, after the lesson, I will send you all the videos that we would have discussed, and the answers, also the document that I'm looking at. So, all right. So let's begin. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing we're going to look at, I tried to gather, or feel free to unmute yourself anytime, don't hesitate. So I tried to gather all questions from different past exam papers that touch many angles of the module itself. So the first question we're going to look at is determine the characteristics of management slash strategic management processes. Like what is involved in, what are the characteristics of strategic management and what is involved when we are talking about strategic management. So to begin with, we'll define what strategic management is. So strategic management is the process of strategic analysis of an organization, strategy focused objective setting, strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and strategic evaluation and control. We're going to look at these following in detail. Strategic management is the management of an organization's resources to achieve its goals and objectives. Strategic management involves setting objectives, analyzing the competitive environment, analyzing the internal environment itself. Strategic management is a stream of decisions and actions which lead to the development of an effective strategy or strategies to help achieve corporate objectives. Let me just explain a few things before we go forward. I've said a lot of things that I need to look at now. So, to begin with, this sentence here, they say strategic management involves setting objectives, analyzing the competitive environment, analyzing the internal. Now, in the module, I'm not sure if you guys went through with the classes, etc., but basically, there are three types of environments in a business. We have the internal environment, where the internal environment can also be called the micro environment, where we're talking about the managers, the workers themselves, the activities that happen within the organization. We have the market environment where we are talking about the buying and selling place where the business is going to carry out its activities, it's going to sell. We're talking about consumers, we're talking about suppliers, then and competitors as well. Then we have the external environment. Okay, sorry, external environment. If you have a pen nearby, please write this down. We have the internal environment and the external environment. Okay, let me write a whiteboard. I prefer doing this sometimes when I need to elaborate my points. So the internal environment. Under the internal environment, we're talking about the micro environment, where we're talking about the managers, right? Then on the other side, we have the external environment. Under the external environment, we have the, let's say the remote, remote market. Let's say we have the remote environment. And under the remote environment, we will talk about the pastel G. We're going to talk more about the pastel G underneath. Then, besides the remote environment, we also talk about, let me do this, the market environment, where we're talking about suppliers and competitors. Right, there you have it. So basically, when we are talking now about strategic management, it is when managers are responsible for evaluating both the internal environment and the external environment in order to produce objectives that are realistic, that can be achieved by the organization, considering the microenvironment, that is the resources and the capabilities that the organization has, and also considering the market environments. What market share do we have? Are there suppliers for the products that we want to produce? What is the level of competition in the market environment? Then the remote environment, we're talking about maybe it's the political factors, environmental, economic factors, environmental, social, etc. If we intend to produce this particular product, what are the external factors, the remote factors that can affect our business in operation? By so doing, they'll be able to create certain objectives that can actually be achievable to them. Just to give an example, a recent example, due to the coronavirus, etc., management had to sit down and construct new strategic objectives because we're talking about the shutting down of activities, non-essential activities. So certain businesses will have to shut down for a while until the levels are lifted or something. And then during that period where there are lesser economic activities, we are saying that there are going to be reduced profits, there are going to be reduced economic activities. So the management cannot say that during this season we want to increase profits. No, they would rather say during this season we want to survive. So they are going to to construct objectives, to form goals and visions that will allow them to survive during the lockdown period. So we can talk about minimizing costs of production and extending consumer services goods so that consumers are more satisfied and they stay in the business and not move away, things like that. Then the strategic management process is the way in which strategists determine objectives and make strategic decisions. Strategic management can be found in various types of organizations, business, service, cooperative, government, and the like. So, as long as individuals or groups of people are looking forward to achieve a certain thing, they are looking forward to operate and achieve a certain goal in the future, they have to engage into strategic management so that they are able to analyze all their environments, internal and surrounding. They are able to determine whether they can achieve certain objectives using the available resources that they have. We shall look into resource-based view where we're going to talk about this more. So let's stay tuned. Any questions so far? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So strategic management is an ongoing process that evaluates and controls the business and the industries in which the company is involved, assesses its competitors, and sets goals and strategies to meet all existing and potential competitors, and then reassesses each strategy annually or quarterly to determine how it has been implemented and whether it has succeeded or needs replacement by a new strategy to meet changed circumstances such as new technology, new competitors, a new environment, economic environment, or a new social, financial, or political environment. What they are saying by this is strategic management is not an activity that happens once. The businesses, organizations, they are constantly engaging in strategic management because they need to determine whether the objectives that they have set are being implemented correctly, are they being achieved as they desired. If they are not being implemented or executed as they wanted them to be, they have to correct that. They have to control that so that they have to achieve what they initially desired. In other words, they need to find out, are the workers working appropriately in order for them to achieve the goal within maybe 5 years? With the pace that workers are working, with the behavior that workers are showing, are we able to achieve our objectives in the next 5 years? Things like that. So it's a continuous process because the external environment is also always changing in the market, competitors in the remote, maybe technology. As things are changing in the external environment, the business needs to be alert of these changes so that they take the opportunities that are coming towards them. We're going to talk about SWOT analysis on this. All right. Okay. Welcome. What's your name? Welcome, Monday. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We have already started on this. I'm going to send you all the answers to this when we are done in the videos as well. So you may kindly send me emails later on, but feel free to ask any questions as we progress if you don't understand anything. All right. So to progress, the next process we have is strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is simply an intentional and rational thought process that focuses on the analysis of critical factors and variables that will influence the long-term success of a business, a team, or an individual. Strategic thinking includes careful and deliberate anticipation of threats and vulnerabilities to guide against the opportunities to pursue, Ultimately, strategic thinking and analysis lead to a clear set of goals, plans, and new ideas required to survive and thrive in a competitive, changing environment. In other words, it's important for management, top management, or even middle management to engage in strategic thinking because they need to analyze how they should put the available resources into certain activities so that they achieve the objectives that they want. We are saying that on the left, they have visions, missions, goals, objectives, etc. On the right, they have the accomplishment. Now, the process that the things on the left, the goals, can be implemented into the things on the right, the realization of the achievements, there has to be some thinking taking place there. We're talking about the resources that we have. We're talking about human resources, finances, technology, etc., whichever resources we have. How are we going to use these to our advantage so that we can achieve these things on the right, the accomplishments that we want? So it's important for them to think strategically so that they can use the minimum, they often call it Pareto efficiency, whereby they're using the least amount of input to produce the most amount of output. This will minimize cost of production. This will also promote quality and it will basically attend to the welfare of both the consumers and the producers. So in such a case, consumer surplus and producer surplus will be very high. Then, this sort of thinking must account for economic realities, market forces, and available resources. Strategic thinking requires research, analytical thinking, innovation, problem solving skills, communication, and leadership skills and decisiveness. So it's important for for managers who are responsible for carrying out strategic management activities to be strategic thinkers, for them to take into account all these other factors, because we are talking about a multiple factors, be it in the internal or external environment, that need to be considered when they are making decisions for the business. Then, during an organization's annual strategic planning process, leaders often compile, analyze, and synthesize external and internal data and ideas to develop a strategic intent and build a strategic narrative. This document will guide the company into the future for a defined period of time. Leaders then choose and plan specific actions that will accomplish these strategic initiatives. Businesses also need to schedule a time for strategic thinking and reviews throughout the year. Leadership teams should periodically examine their strategic initiatives to ensure executive, who is making noise? To ensure, sorry, where execution is taking place, review and sustain the effect across the organization. So this is strategic thinking for you. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. Or any contributions or any examples that you want to give, please let me know. Then, strategic planning.
Can
Yeah.
I just ask?
Yeah.
The tutor from Unisa,
Yes.
she sent through a questionnaire this morning about what's the thing called? She sent through something for Capitec.
Capitec. Okay.
Yeah, do you also have Capitec around this or not?
Capitec is a case study.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it. You may send it to me after lesson. I could look into it.
Yeah, I'll share this one that she sent to me. Then we can share it with the rest of the class as well.
Okay.
Or what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat. Let me do it in the chat.
Okay, sure.
Oh, we can't share. How do I? Okay, I'll put it in the WhatsApp chat. Okay.
Okay, that'll be fine. Is it related to what we're talking about now?
It is to a certain extent because it's the different levels of management. But yeah, but it's also related to the whole bigger class, you know.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Please share it with me. I'll look into it.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you're welcome. All right. Then we also have strategic planning. So strategic planning can be understood as a systematic long-range planning activity that an organization uses to fix priorities, strengthen operations, ascertain objectives, and focus on the resources required and that will be allocated in order to pursue the strategy and attain the objectives. We shall talk about levels of management later, but basically the top level management is responsible for strategic planning. They make the strategic plans. Then it is a part of the strategic management process which ensures that every aspect of the organization is working towards the achievement of the organization's goals, that is in the right and intended direction. There is something that they call alignment. Alignment is very important in businesses because what the managers have planned, it should be executed correctly in order for them to achieve the objectives. So alignment is when workers are available in their required numbers and they have the right skills and they are working in the right way. The resources, additional resources like finances, equipment, etc., they are also available for the workers to work effectively and implement these strategic plans so that they arrive to the strategic objectives. But when there is no alignment, that is when they need to carry out strategic control. Strategic evaluation is there to ensure that to determine whether the alignment is there in the implementation. But if alignment is not there in the implementation, that is when they need to control measures to determine whether they should create a new objective, or maybe they simply need to adjust certain implementations or certain activities. We shall talk about strategic control later, but I just wanted to put it in right there as we are proceeding to understand more, to link the stories. Then strategic planning ascertains what an organization is, to whom it serves, where it is going, and what are the paths which are to be followed to follow its vision. It includes strategic decision making, strategic intent, strategic management model, and strategic formulation. So we are simply saying the managers are sitting down and saying, what do we want to achieve? Where do we want to go as a business? What is the purpose of our existence? And by evaluating these factors, they are then able to determine the objectives that they need and then the path that they need to follow, which is the implementation for them to achieve those objectives. Right. So we have characteristics of strategic planning. Strategic planning is an analytical process which formulates strategic and operational plans for the organization. Strategic plans, okay, let me read this, then I explain. The implementation of strategic plans is possible through projects, whereas various units or divisions of the firm implement operational plans. So we say strategic plans, they are formulated by the top management, right? Then after the top management, we have the middle management. The middle management is responsible for creating the functional plans. Then after the middle management, we have the lower management, which is responsible for creating the operational plans. So operational plans are basically carried out every single day. They are short term compared to strategic plans, which are long term. They can be 5 or more years. But operational plans are like less than a year. Within less than a year, we should have accomplished this as a department, things like that. And operational plans are meant to fulfill the strategic plans. So, okay, maybe just explain a little bit more. So I said that strategic plans, let's say they are for 5 years. Operational plans will be for 1 year. So after those 5 years, it means that the management would have put out 5 different operational plans after every year, making sure that they are arriving. Each point they are making an operational plan, they are arriving at a certain level until they eventually accomplish all the 5 years operational plans, which are 5 of them, to achieve the one strategic plan. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that all the operational plans that are made every year are meant to achieve the strategic plan which is made by the top management. Do you understand the difference between strategic plan and operational plans? Or you need me to elaborate it further?
No, I think it's good if you share this with us afterwards. I think it's good, from my side at least.
If I send it to you?
Yeah, but afterwards, you don't have to worry
Okay.
now. I'm just saying
Okay.
it's a nice synopsis, so it's good
All
to
right.
go read through this.
Definitely, I'll send it to you. All right. So then the second point, it performs SWOT analysis. That is, during the planning process, the firm's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are taken into consideration. We shall look into SWOT later, but basically, we're saying that strategic planning, they're planning what is going to happen in the future, what they want to do in the future, what they want to achieve in the future. So if they have to decide what they have to achieve in the future, they need to know what is the strength that we have from the resources and capabilities that we have. And from the resources and capabilities that we have, what are their weaknesses? Where are they lacking? And what are the opportunities that are coming from the external environment and the threats? Maybe the opportunity is technology, maybe the threat is competition or increased taxes. So they need to take into account all these factors, which I'll explain more about SWOT analysis, don't worry. Then another characteristic of strategic planning is it is a forward-looking activity wherein the future opportunities and threats are ascertained while considering its profitability, market share, product, and competition. So it is very important for businesses to be proactive in their decision making, in strategic planning, rather than to be reactive. So if they are proactive, it means that they are researching the market. They are trying to determine what are the possible future opportunities or threats that are going to arise, which will affect the way that we operate. Then, when they identify these future opportunities and threats, they will be able to put together their resources so that they can take advantage of these upcoming opportunities so that they gain competitive advantage. And these resources that they have should be able to allow them to avoid the threats or maybe to minimize the effects of the threats that are coming, given that the threat is imminent. Like maybe it's tax. Tax comes to every business. So they will need to cushion themselves to minimize the impact of that threat. Then, yeah, basically, yeah, that's the point. Then okay, reaction, I explained reaction. Reaction is when something happens, maybe it's an opportunity that comes by, and the business is realizing it later that, oh, an opportunity has come. What are we going to do about it? Or maybe a threat has already come. Maybe a competitor is already outgrowing or outperforming the organization. Then they realize it later. That is reactive. So it's important for them to be proactive. Then, just an explanation, our Zoom meetings may switch off after every 40 minutes, but it's not a problem. We are simply going to use the same link to come back again. And we shall also have short breaks. I'll be letting you know what time you can have the break. And yeah, so we will use the same link to come back in. Right. Then, it presupposes that a firm should always be ready to adapt itself according to the dynamic business environment. For this purpose, alternative strategies are developed for different circumstances, that is, for best to worst for the future. The coronavirus incident was not expected by many organizations. Some of them, in fact, most of them were basically surprised by it. And because of that, it meant that businesses had to have alternative strategies. They didn't necessarily have to have a strategy to increase their profits, to grow their businesses, to increase market share. As a result of coronavirus, we're talking about reduced economic activities. People are buying less. Some people actually have a cut in their salaries. So the businesses had to have an alternative strategy, whether in the essential market or in the non-essential market. So this will allow businesses to survive. It can be done for the entire organization or to a specific business unit. Strategic planning can be done, yes, for the entire organization. That's why they call it a corporation. Or they can focus on a specific business unit and say we need to create certain certain strategic plans for this particular business unit. If you, okay, I don't know, but if you went through some classes in the study guide, it mentions that yes, strategic plans are made by top management, and also yes, functional plans are made by the middle level management. But sometimes we also find that even the middle level management, they carry out strategic plans, because we are talking about an event that suddenly happens, and the mid level management has to respond to it immediately without having to consult with the top level management. So strategic planning happens throughout the organization, whether for the corporation or for a specific business unit. It is helpful in selecting the best strategy among the various strategies, taking into account the firm's interest, personal values, and corporate social responsibility. Now we can talk about the top triple bottom, the triple top bottom, where we're talking about, let me type this on the whiteboard. Triple top bottom, or it's the top triple, no, it's the top triple bottom. Top triple bottom, we're talking about profit, planet. Does anyone know the third one? It's a P, starts with a P. Anyone?
No.
Yeah.
Planet, is planet right?
Sorry?
Is planet right?
Yes, planets, right?
Okay. Purpose? I don't know.
It's people. Yes. So what we are saying by this top triple bottom is that yes, the businesses are there to make profits for themselves. That is the business interest, the firm's interest to make profits. Then planet, we're talking about the using resources sustainably, whether it's the natural resources, the minerals, the minerals themselves, or it's the land. We're talking about using resources efficiently, not polluting, producing goods and services that are ozone friendly, that will not affect the environment, lead to pollution, etc., and all that. Then for people, we're talking about making decisions as well that will be beneficial to the community, to the consumers, to all the people that are attached to the organization. So maybe let me say, that the interest role, right there. And then profits, we're talking about the firm's interest. And for planet, we're talking about using as minimize pollution. Then for people, we're talking about making decisions that will affect consumer, community, workers, and anything. So long ago, the only objective that businesses had was profit. That was their main desire. But as time went on, we begin talking about CSR, taking into account the social responsibilities, and utilizing resources efficiently. We're looking at the global warming. It's taking place because people are less conscious of the environment. Yeah, over polluting etc and all that. So those are the three, the triple bottom when they ask you. Then let me go back to our course. Any questions on that?
Just say again. Sorry, you broke up there.
Or I was saying, any questions on what I just said?
No, no, good.
Okay. All right. Yep. So, right. It can be done for, yeah, we talked about this. Where were we? Okay, we're here. It acts as a guide to the executive to reduce the risk involved in the business and also to take the best possible advantage of the opportunities. So in this way, it contributes to the success of the enterprise. Strategic planning is a logical effort that envisions the desired future by producing various alternative actions and decisions to formulate an effective strategy that brings success to the organization. It helps in analyzing and adjusting the organization's effort as a whole according to the changing business environment. So basically, this is strategic planning. When managers are involved in strategic planning, they need to take into account the strengths, the weaknesses of the organization, and the external opportunities and threats. They need to determine what is the purpose of our existence, why are we operating, and they need to determine the actions that need to be taken into account for them to achieve those objectives they have set for the organization. So we are less than a minute for our Zoom to switch on, switch off. We're just coming back with the same link, and we'll start by looking at strategic implementation. Any questions so far? Okay.